back. This storm that came through this time, it wasn't snow. Now it's rain, and they're talking about street flooding and basements flooding and everything, but it's 40 degrees right now, and with all this snow melt and the rain, it's causing a lot of fog. Right now I'm driving up to the house in Cloquet. You can see it's a little bit worse here than it was in that last clip. Here you can maybe see 300 feet in front. And you just have to watch out for any street flooding, which hasn't been bad here. But right next to where, when I go over the bridge where I catch the crayfish in the summertime, there was some on each side of that bridge. So yeah, I got about an hour and 45 minutes left to drive here, and hopefully this fog will let up a little bit as I go. See better through the camera than you can through the windshield. I'm just getting onto Interstate 35 right now. I drove back from up here 4 days ago, and now we've had a couple of days in the upper 30s, and now the rain yesterday and the rain today, and the snowpack has dropped at least 12 inches. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like at the house in the yard there, just to see how much the snow has dropped. The fog has cleared up real nice here. Snow is definitely going down, but this is that yucky, now everything looks dirty time of year. Oh, it looks wet and icy. I see a couple of patches of grass. Looks like all the snow slid off the metal roof up there. No getting in and out of that garage for a little bit. You know, this house was built in 1942, and back then, when they had basements in houses, they weren't made to be finished. They were made for storage. People would put vegetables down here, tools and stuff would go down here, but it was never meant to be finished off. So a lot of these older basements do leak. This one seems to be doing good so far. Yesterday, when it was still raining out, I noticed right where the this main line goes out to the sewer system, there was some leaking below it, and that's because right over the that back door area, which is right there, when it rains out or the snow is melting, it all drips off, drips right down there, and that is exactly where that pipe comes out. So now I know that if I put gutters up here, or actually we kind of want to redo this deck area and put a regular roof over it, like a metal roof or something, that will end all of that trouble. This basement, like most of these old basements, has just a little sump area here where the water seeps in from the ground up, and then it'll get pumped out when it fills up. And this actually, last year when it was raining, it was going constantly. I mean, off and on, off and on. And I see now the bottom is getting a little damp, so there is some moisture that's coming up, so it won't be long and that'll fill up and the sump pump will start. And that just goes up right here and it goes right outside. And you can see that pipe out there that I dug out the snow from. That's where it ends up going out and draining out into the yard. Last fall when it was raining so much, some water started to seep up through these cracks, and really this concrete floor is only maybe 1.5 inches thick. Definitely something they put in not as a full floor, just something to cover up the dirt. And over here where I have the rock polisher going right now, you can see how that is built up. That is where they had the washing machine. They actually had 2 of them. And most of these houses back then, if they did have a washer, certainly didn't have a dryer, because you would just put it outside and hang it on the line to dry. What I did do is I did buy another a sump basket, a true sump basket, not like what they have where that pump is. And now all the houses, especially here in Minnesota, you run drain tile along the inside of the wall here, and it all runs into the sump basket. And there are a lot of houses where year-round, basically, their pumps are going off and on to keep their basements dry, but they can have livable space down there. My only problem with that is this house is built in 1942. Generally, after 1950, you can be pretty confident that the cement walls for the basement have footings underneath them. Prior to that, I mean, it was switching over in the 40s. Prior to that, you had usually like a brick wall, not like this, which is poured, but you'd have like a brick or even a stone foundation, and that just sat on the dirt with no footing. And the problem with trying to do a drain tile in something like that is if you break up the floor, because what I would do is cut 18 inches around the outside here, dig it down, put in the drain tile, cover it with rock or get a sleeved one or whatever. Anyway, after you go through that whole process, then you would put more cement in. But when you cut that cement out, you then, and start digging, you have a chance of weakening the foundation that's underneath the cement. I don't think that I would have that problem with this one since it is a poured foundation, but if I do want to drain tile down here, it's something I definitely want to check. What I do think I'm going to do here in the future, though, is instead of just relying on this one sump like hole that they have here, I will go into one of these corners, and I did buy that sump basket, and I'll cut the concrete out, dig a hole, put that sump basket in, cut the bottom of it out so that water that's seeping up from down below can come up into that basket, and I'll put in a second pump. And I did, like I said, I bought the second pump. It's a very good pump. I don't know how good the one that they have in the house here is, so I spent some money on that, so I know it'll be reliable for quite a long time. By doing that, there would be less chance of water coming up here, because what's happened is when the water table comes up, when we get like 4 or 5 inches of rain in a couple of weeks, it's seeping up from the bottom, but it can't seep into that one hole over there fast enough. So if I had 2 of them, it would be able to seep into that one, which would more than likely stop it from coming up at all through the floor. And I just won't be able to make that determination until I see what happens this spring. That's why, like I said, every house has a personality, and you need to live in it a whole year before you know all of its quirks. was going to shovel that stuff out of the way, but it was like a chunk of ice. That's why I started up the tractor and scooped most of it out of the way. That bottom part is still pretty hard, but it'll melt fast now. I have 2 ribeyes, 2 T-bones, and 2 Cajun sausages cooking on the barbecue right now. Like usual, I like to cook for more than one day if you're going to do it. It's in the afternoon now. It only made it up to 32 degrees today, but you can see what a difference just looking at that driveway compared to what it was this morning or yesterday, especially when I showed up. It's really melting pretty nice. Almost all the snow now is off that metal roof. Next year now, you know, last fall we got in here late, just before the snow fell. And I want to be able to, I'm going to get rid of that whole little fencing area right there. And I want to be able to run the tractor around the whole building all winter to keep the snow from being against the building. Because right now, water's definitely going to seep underneath onto the cement floor there, into the building. And if I keep it clean with the tractor, I'll never have that trouble. You can see there's a little bit right here. You can't see it very well, but not as bad as I thought. I mean, when that melts, it's going to come. But luckily, there is a curb block around this whole entire perimeter, and the wall is on top of that, so it's not like it's just right on the slab itself. The snow back here is still at least knee deep, but it's not waist deep like it was, I don't know when that last video when I was in here, but it was deeper than this. I don't see that it has seeped in anywhere else. You know that, you see that 2x8 right there on the floor? I had come in here when all that snow load was on 2 weeks ago. Maybe 1 week ago. Anyway, this one truss here looked like it was sagging to me. And I wasn't really sure, but there was so much snow up there. And then we had rain coming, and all that was going to do was act like a sponge and get heavier. So I put this in and I beat it in with a hammer so it was tight. And obviously there was a lot of weight, because now that it has slid off, that thing has completely fallen down. I didn't worry about it at all here because this wall comes right through it about a little more than a third of the way through the building. This one has some 2x4s underneath it, but that one truss right there is the one that looked like it was sagging. Somehow I think I'll build a wall or something underneath there to hold that up for other winters, because this is definitely an old barn. The forecast for 7 days from now is 52 degrees. Almost all of this will be gone. I'll be excited to get back into the chicken coop and make it back into a chicken coop. Well everyone, my little video here of around the farm here, what's happening with everything thawing out, it's going to have to wait. I got a text message from my daughter Emily at 3:44 this morning. Her water broke. She's at the hospital right now. Contractions are 10 minutes apart. So I'm going to have to be heading down to St. Cloud and check out my new granddaughter or grandson. Thanks a lot for watching everybody. I'll see you guys on the next video.